Welcome to the
Unpopular Opinions.
Unpopular opinions.
Have unpopular opinions.
Unpopular opinions.
Okay, so what's an unpopular opinion?
Unpopular opinions.
To utter such blasphemy. He's got the nerve, the audacity, the unmitigated gall to echo such blasphemous nonsense. Just blasphemy.
How's everybody doing today? I want to welcome you to yet another episode of the Unpopular Podcast. This is the 10th episode. So, for this episode, I'm going to give my 10 greatest female athletes of all time. Stay tuned. When you look at the pantheon of greatest athletes, a lot of names that come to mind are, Muhammad Ali, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Carl Lewis. And as great as they are, a lot of women do not get credit for being great athletes. Of course, you have some of the heavy names who we're going to get into a little later. But when we think of greats and when people usually make all-time great athlete lists, a lot of women get left out. So, for my 10th episode, and I want to thank everybody who's been listening and tuning in, but for my 10th episode, what I wanted to do was give women credit. Give the women athletes credit for being as great as they are. No, I don't think some of these women are the greatest athletes of all time, but when we're talking about sports, you really can't talk about sports without talking about these women. So, like I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give my top 10 female athletes of all time. But before I do that, I'm going to give a couple of honorable mentions. Some of these women, all these women are great. The women that I'm going to say, all of them are great athletes in their respective sports, but they just couldn't make it on my top 10. My top 10. Let me just reiterate that. My Unpopular Podcast, my top 10. So, again, if you do not agree with anybody I say, or if you feel I left somebody out, you can leave it in the comments and we'll talk about it. But, without further ado, here we go. Some names that I left off the list of my top 10, is Diana Taurasi, Maya Moore, Cheryl Swoops. Shout out to Cheryl Swoops, the first woman to get drafted to the WNBA and the first woman ever to have her own signature basketball shoe. In fact, I think she might be the first and only woman to have a signature basketball shoe with Nike, who Nike is about to retro those shoes, so be on the lookout for that. Cheryl Miller is one of the greatest basketball players, period. Back in her time when she was dropping 100 points in high school, she's one of the greatest players, as in Olympic players, and Cheryl Miller. A lot of people know about Reggie Miller, but Cheryl Miller might have been better than him, and that's just facts. You got Simone Biles, the young African American gymnastic, or what are they called? Well, she does gymnastics, and she is one of the best that people say. She is one of the best to ever do it. Of course, she's like 5'1", so you can't be too tall and be in gymnastics. But she is one of the best, and she's so young. I believe she's like 16 or 17, but even at that age, she is considered one of the best Dang it! It was on the top of my tongue, but I forgot it. She's one of the best people to ever do gymnastics. I'm gonna just say that. You have Alex Morgan, who is one of the greatest. Well, she's still up and coming, but she is one of the greatest U.S. soccer players ever. Wilma Rudolph. She is one of the fastest people to ever run or do fastest sprinters ever. You have Maria Sharapova, along with somebody else that might or might not make this list. She is considered to be one of the best tennis players ever. Of course, she had that whole steroids or illegal substance scandal, but that doesn't take away from how great she was and still is. All right, I'm gonna butcher this name, but here we go. You got Babe Didriskin Zarish. I don't know, but I know that she not only excelled in tennis, but she was a great golfer. She was a great basketball player. I don't know if she played. She definitely didn't play in the WNBA, but she was known to be, at her time, one of the best basketball players, but she's really known for, like, mostly known for how great she was in tennis and in golf. I had to take off or put in honorable mentions Carrie Jennings along with Misty Traynor. For people that don't know, they are probably the greatest duo to ever, men or women, greatest duo to ever play in U.S. beach volleyball. I know they're probably they are the most decorated beach volleyball Olympians. The reason why I couldn't put them on the list, because of course they're a team, and I would feel kind of messed up taking somebody off, and it's a duo. So, but again, Carrie Walsh Jennings and Misty May Traynor are definitely have to be in the honorable mentions. Danica Patrick, the only woman to ever win in the Indy 500. So, shout out to Danica. Ronda Rousey, even though her ending to the MMA was not, or UFC was not, what nobody wants, but her career in the UFC not only paved the way for a lot of women like Cyborg or other what's her name, Nunes, the one that beat her, but Ronda Rousey is one of the most decorated and best UFC fighters ever. Now, of course, UFC is a relatively young sport, but to be as dominant as she was, you have to give Ronda Rousey some considerations. So, you got Abby Wambach, Wamba, I don't know, but not only is she one of the best soccer players to ever play for the U.S., but she was a real advocate for the LGBT community. For whoever agrees with it, doesn't agree, that's up to them. I don't really care. You live your life. But she was a leader in a huge advocate for the LGBT community, along with being dominant on the soccer field. The soccer field. And you have Lindsey Vonn, who is one of the most decorated Olympians for her long jump. For the skiing. And you have, I guess my last honorable mention I'm going to say is Athena Gibson. She is the first African American to cross the color barrier in tennis, and she's also the first African American, period, men or women, to win a Grand Slam. So, those are my honorable mentions. Stay tuned for my official top 10. So now that we got the honorable mentions out the way, here is my top 10 female athletes of all time. Again, these are my top 10 female athletes of all time. I know this might cause some controversy, and that's okay. This is the Unpopular Podcast where I give my unpopular opinion. So this is, I guess, is going to be an unpopular opinion, but these are the top 10 female athletes in my eyes. Some of them can be a little interchangeable. Some of them, no, maybe one of them, two of them is probably concrete where they are, but some of them can be, of course, interchangeable. Some of them can be argued. Some of them can't. So here we go. My number 10 top 10 female athletes of all time has to go to Allyson Felix, along with somebody else that might or might not be on this list. When you think of track or American track, Allyson Felix has to come to mind. Of course, you have great men, track stars like Michael Johnson, Carl Carl Lewis, Usain Bolt, but he's not American, but track. But in those names, you think of Allison Felix. Allison Felix is one of the most decorated track stars ever, and she is not only that, but and all of these women are pretty much icons in their respective sport. But when we think of, you know, African Americans, and when we think of African American athletes, it's very hard. You can't go too far without talking about Allison Felix. She has a total of 24 gold medals, 8 silver medals, and 4 bronze medals. She has 6 Olympic gold medals, of course, 11 world champion gold medals, and while she's not the most decorated, as a young African American athlete, she is one of the most decorated when in that category. Allison Felix is known for she's one of the most electrifying, you know, runners to watch. In fact, I know a couple people, and even myself, sometimes I just tune in to see Allison Felix run. Of course, every 4 years for track or the Olympics. But Allison Felix is, I don't know if she still runs. I don't know if she retires. I don't know. But Allison Felix is one of the greatest female athletes ever. Which leads me to number 8, which is Lisa Leslie. The WNBA is growing. While it's not as popular as the NBA, and I don't know if it would ever be as popular as the NBA, there have been several great WNBA players to come through the lexicon of the WNBA. Of course, like I said, when I said in the honorable mentions, you have Diana Taurasi, you have Maya Moore, you have Cheryl Miller, who I do not believe was in the WNBA, but she was one of the greatest basketball players ever. Of course, you have Cheryl Swoops, who was the first woman to ever get drafted into the WNBA. But when you think of the WNBA, the first person almost everybody thinks of, and you do not have to have you don't have to have seen a game of the WNBA, but the first name that comes to mind is Lisa Leslie. Lisa Leslie has become the face of the WNBA. She is a 2-time WNBA champion. She is a 2-time Finals MVP. She is a 3-time WNBA MVP. She is a 8-time All-Star, 3-time All-Star Game MVP. She is an 8-time All-WNBA First Team, 4-time All-NBA Second Team. She's a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, 2-time All-Defense First Team, 2-time All-Defense Second Team. She is a top 20 WNBA's top 25 player of all time, and she is the WNBA's all-time leader in blocks. When you look at the WNBA, as is probably the youngest professional sport out there, major professional sport, but Lisa Leslie is the face of the WNBA, and she hasn't played for a while. But you can't think of the WNBA without thinking about Lisa Leslie. She's in the Basketball Hall of Fame. She's in the Females Basketball Hall of Fame. She even has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. She's even an 8-time gold medalist. So, like I said, when you talk about greatest women of all time, and we're talking about the WNBA, you can't go too far. You can't go anywhere. The first name that people think when they think of the WNBA all-time greats is Lisa Leslie, which leads me to number 8, which is Mia Hamm. Like how Lisa Leslie is to the WNBA, Mia Hamm is to U.S. soccer. Mia Hamm, now U.S. soccer men is pretty trash, but U.S. soccer for the females is pretty much the most important sport. How am I going to say this? When we look at USA soccer, women are dominant. The women's teams are usually the most dominant when we're talking about USA, and leading that, I guess, you can say charge was Mia Hamm. Mia Hamm, and you can ask many, but Mia Hamm is considered as one of the greatest soccer players, not even just in female soccer, but ever, men or women. Now, of course, you have all overseas and everything, but Mia Hamm, you can't take away from Mia Hamm's accomplishments. She's a 2-time Olympic gold medalist, 2-time FIFA World Cup champion. She was the captain from Team USA, and she's a NCAA women's soccer champion at North Carolina. So, I'm sorry. She's a 4-time NCAA Division I women's soccer champion at North Carolina. So, Mia Hamm, when you look at Alex Morgan, when you look at Abby Wambach, when you look at great women's soccer players like Lisa Leslie in the WNBA, you can't go too far without talking about Mia Hamm. Mia Hamm's in commercials now. Mia Hamm is still a household name. Not even now, but she's always been a household name. But Mia Hamm is the epitome of a great athlete. She's humble. Like I said, she's everywhere she's went, from the high school, NCAA, professional, Olympics. She's won. And she is the face of USA sports. Not the face. She's one of the faces of USA sports. And when we're talking about, dominant USA sports, she is one of the faces. And then we have Billie Jean King. Now, if we're taking notes, Allison Felix is number 10. Lisa Leslie is number 9. You have Mia Hamm, number 8. And at number 7, number 7, you have Billie Jean King. Billie Jean King, yes, she has 39 Grand Slam titles, which is the 7th most singles Grand Slam, 7 most single Grand Slam titles of all time for women. But she's mostly known for the Battle of the Sexes game. For people that don't know, this was back, I believe, in like the 1950s something. But she went up against. Let me. No, she went up. She. You know what? I'm gonna look this up because I have to be authentic. Here we go. Boom. She went up against Bobby Riggs, who at the time was known for not only being a great tennis player, but he was very sexist when talking about female tennis players. Did I say soccer? It's female tennis players. But Billie Jean King was pretty much the first woman to ever be ever beat a male tennis player, and it was nationally televised. Like I said, it was called the Battle of the Sexes, and it was to this day one of the most watched sporting events ever. Again, not only did she do that, she is also she also has 39 Grand Slam titles, which is 7th most, and she has won the 7th most singles titles at 12, because of course at her 39, 12 singles, 16 women doubles, and 11 mixed doubles. But Billie Jean King, when we think of tennis, she's one of the people that have paved the path for a lot of tennis great, of course, female tennis great that we see today. Number 6, I'm going with Jenny Thompson. For people that don't know Jenny Thompson, Michael Phelps has gone on the record. Michael Phelps in almost most of the female swimmers have gone on to say one of their inspirations is Jenny Thompson. Jenny Thompson used to be the Michael Phelps of the water for women. She was, look, if you don't believe me, she has won 53 gold medals, including 8 Olympic gold medals, 7 world championships, 11 world championships. I guess that's one in, I don't know what LC is, and another one in SC. I'm guessing that's South Carolina, but I'm probably hella wrong. She has 25 Pan-Pacific champions and Pan American championships. She has 2, and all those are gold medals. I'm not talking about anything else. She has 53 gold medals, 20 silver medals, and 8 bronze medals. She was the female version of Michael Phelps. Now, of course, Michael Phelps is known for being one of the most decorated male Olympians ever, with the swimming and all his gold medals that he has. But the female version of Michael Phelps was Jenny Thompson. In fact, Jenny Thompson has gone down as one of the greatest and most influential, I believe the AP most top 50 or top 100 influential athletes ever. Jenny Thompson's on that list. Don't believe me? Go look it up. But Jenny Thompson is one of the greatest, not only Olympians or, Olympians ever, but she's one of the greatest swimmers of all time. And she is, or was, the Michael Phelps, but from the female side of the Olympics. So what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Number 5. A lot of people might, this might be where the controversy comes in at. But number 5 is Venus Williams. Along with somebody else on this list that I'm pretty sure you know will be on this list, but along with somebody else in this list, Venus Williams is one of the faces of tennis. Not just male tennis and female tennis, of one of the faces of tennis. Her, along with her sister Serena Williams, will go down as top 5 greatest tennis players of all time. There was a span. Now, of course, when Serena and Venus came into the scene, there was a span when Venus was the greatest tennis player in the world. Not Serena, but Venus. In fact, here's a couple of records that I'm gonna just say some records that she has. Just a couple. She has the most appearances in a Grand Slam draw. She has 4 consecutive runner-up finishes. She has 4 consecutive runner-up finishes to the same player. There was 15 years between the first and last final, so she has one of the longest reigning tenures of a tennis player. In the Wimbledon, she has the longest women's single final. She is the lowest ranked champion. She was ranked 31st in the world in 2007 when she won the Wimbledon. Of course, she was the lowest seed champion in Wimbledon. She has the fastest serve by a woman with 129 miles per hour. She's a 4-time gold medalist with her sister. She's a 3-time doubles gold medalist with her sister. She stands alone as she has won Olympic gold medal in 4 different Olympic games. She has 16 consecutive singles matches won at a tournament. She's the only unseeded player to have won a singles as a wild card. She has 2 consecutive singles ties without dropping a set. And she has the most single titles won at a tournament, which is 3. Those are just some of the accolades Venus Williams has. Now, many people know that Venus Williams, when Venus Williams and Serena Williams came into the scene, Of course, they were controversial with the, they used to have the braids in their hair and the different colors in their hair. And a lot of networks, which is a fact, a lot of networks didn't want to air them because, like I said, they were quote unquote too urban. But when you're great, it's very hard to turn a blind eye to that. And Venus alone, you don't even have to put her with Serena right now, but Venus alone will go down as one of the greatest tennis players ever. Top 5, I don't know. Top 3. I mean, top 5, maybe. Top 3, maybe. Top 10, most definitely. Number 4 is Jackie Joyner Kersee. All right, so I don't know how to say this. What is this? The heptathlon? I don't know. All I know is she recorded one of the longest long jumps, not only as a female, but of all time, one of the longest. She considered one of the greatest long jump and heptathlon. I don't know if I'm butchering that right. I don't know. I don't really care. But she is one of the greatest heptathlon Olympians, she's one of the greatest Olympians, period. She won a gold medal in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different let me see. She won 3 Olympic medals. 1, 2, 3, 4 world champion medals, and 1 Pan American medal. But she will still go down as one of the greatest, not only Olympians, but female athletes of all time. In fact, all of these women will go down as some of the greatest athletes of all time, male or female. But because we're shortening the spectrum to just women, she is considered maybe top 10. Well, in my eyes, of course, because this is my top 10. She is in the top 5 of the female athletes of all time. But not even just mine. That's a name, along with some of these names on here. But Jackie Joyner Kersee, that's a name that really can't be argued. Of course, a lot of these can be argued. You might be able to argue Allison Felix. You might be able to argue Mia Hamm, or Billie Jean. But Jackie Joyner Kersee, that's a name that can't be really argued as one of the greatest athletes of all time. What she has done for the heptathlon, I don't know, I'm probably saying that wrong, but I don't care. The heptathlon, and what she has done for the long jump, and she was actually one of the leading people to make it not only cool, but make it one of the most watched. Today, the long jump is one of the most watched Olympic games that the Olympic airs, and she is one of the reasons why. Number 3, and that's of course Jackie Joyner Kersee was number 4. Number 3, I have to go with one of the greatest tennis players of all time, which is Margaret Court. All I really have to say about Margaret Court is that she has the most career titles, and she has singles. She has the most career singles titles at 192. The Australian Open alone, she's won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 times. She's won the Australian Open. French Open 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Wimbledon, she's won 3 times. In the US Open, she's won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. And that's just singles. We're not going to talk about doubles or mixed doubles. But the only thing we need to hear is that she has a career total of 192 titles, and 92 of those was during the Open era. Serena Williams, Venus Williams, and almost every, not even just them, but all of tennis has, the only reason why I know Margaret Court is because when you think of tennis, the first thing, type in top 5 greatest tennis stars, and Margaret Court is on every single list that pops up. Every single one. Serena Williams is giving her a shout out. Venus Williams is giving her a shout out. Maria Sharapova is giving her a shout out. Roger Federer is giving her a shout out. Almost every tennis player has given Margaret Court a shout out. Not saying she's the great, because of course the game has changed from back in the day to now, and that's with every sport. But when we're talking about one of the most decorated and most accomplished athletes ever, of course you have Bill Russells, you have the Muhammad Ali's, but in that list you have to put in Margaret Court. And to be in a list, or to be in a category, to be in a group with people like, Bill Russell, Muhammad Ali, Michael Jordan, as a winner, you can't really forget about Margaret Court. Like, you can't forget about Margaret Court. I'm sorry. That's why she's number 3. So before I go into number 2 and number 1, these two these two females are pretty much concrete of where they are. Of course you can debate with me. I don't care. I would love to hear what you guys feel about it, but these two women are and will be number 1 and number 2 in my book until somebody miraculously comes along and knocks one of them off. Number 2 is Miss Florence Griffin Joyner, also known as FloJo. FloJo is considered the fastest woman of all time, because till this day she set a world record as the fastest times in the 1988 Olympic medals for the 100 and 200 meter dash. When you think of speed, and when you think of running, sprinting, speed, I think of 4 names. I think of Usain Bolt. I think of Carl Lewis. I think of Michael Johnson. Shout out to Kendrick Lamar. That's kind of why I think of it, because he shouted him out in the Kendrick Lamar song. Even the legs of Michael Johnson don't mean nothing. And then I think of FloJo. When you think of speed and you think of female athletes, FloJo comes to my mind first, second, third, fourth, and 5 times in a row. Like, I can't think of anybody on the level FloJo was on. Now, no, I was not born in 1988. And you know what? That right there should prove everything you need to know. I was not born in 1998. I never saw, except for like YouTube videos and stuff, I never saw FloJo run. I never saw her, like live. I've never seen her run. But her name and her legacy still carries on. To a person that's never seen them, her legacy is one of the fastest people in the world ever. In fact, I remember having a debate with somebody, and she was considered probably one of the fastest people ever. And now, of course, it's kind of hard with men and women because, genetic genes and all that. But when I think about speed, and when I think about quickness, and when I think about Olympics, FloJo, to me, and this is just to me, FloJo is running. Now, of course, like when we're talking about the grand scheme of things, you cannot go too far without talking about FloJo as one of the greatest Olympians, one of the fastest runners ever. And this is from a person, she set this record back in 1988. So from 1988 to 2018, now I know the Olympics is every 4 years, but from 1988 to 2018, nobody has been able to beat FloJo's record. Not only that, she is also considered one of the leading, I guess, how do you say this? She is, when we're talking about African Americans and, African American athletes and their place in American history, Flo, it's very hard to go. You have some of the great names like LeBron or Magic Johnson or LeBron, Michael Jordan or what I say, Athena. You have Athena Gibson. But FloJo really paved the way and made it really popular for people like my 10th slot, Allison Felix, to run in the Olympics. Allison Felix might be the face of female running, Olympic running today, but of all time, FloJo is that woman when we're considering who is not only the fastest female of all time, which she takes that cake and that ice cream, but you can't really go far when we're talking about fastest people of all time, men or women. And number one, number one it shouldn't be hard. That's Serena Williams. I mean, come on, bro. She won a championship pregnant. I think she was 4 months pregnant, 4 months or 4 weeks. One of them. She won pregnant. She won a championship with a baby in her stomach. Come on now. She has won Australian Open. She's won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Australian Opens. French Opens 3. Wimbledon's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 Wimbledons and U.S. Opens 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 U.S. Opens. And that's just singles. I'm not even gonna go in doubles because she has 4. She has 1 single for gold medalist. But this is what I'm gonna do. When I was looking this up, I knew Serena Williams was great. I knew she was gonna be my number one of all time. I knew that, but I didn't know just how much she's done and just how, I guess you can say, accomplished she is. I knew she was going to be my number one once I thought of this, but I didn't know, how much, I guess, ammunition she could have gave me. So this is what I'm going to do for y'all. I'm only going to say the awards she's won from 2014 through 2016. So from 2014 to 2017, I'm not going to say 17. I'm going to give you the award she's won. Here we go. From 2014 on, she Times Magazine's 100 most influential people, Forbes Miss Celebrity. She, of course, U.S. Open Series champion, WTA Player of the Year, ESPN's Tennis WTA Player of the Year, International Sports Press Association Female Athlete of the Year. Back in 2015, she won Associated Press Female of the Year yet again. She Best Female Tennis Player in the ESPYs Awards, ESPN Tennis WTA Player of the Year yet again. She's a Women's Sports Foundation Sportsman of the Year. Harris Poll Top 10 Female Athletes of All Time. She was number 1. Harris Poll Top 10 Female Athletes. Harris Poll Top 10 Female Athletes Star. She was number 1. All time, she was number 4. This is back in 2015. Greatest Tennis Players Ever. She was number 1. WTA Player of the Year. She won Sports Illustrated Sports Person of the Year, which she was one of the only females to ever win Sports Illustrated Sports Person of the Year, not just athlete, Sports Person of the Year. She won. I'm trying to think. There's so much here. I'm trying to shorten this. No, here we go. USA Sports Academy Female of the Year, International Sports Press Best Female. She won that yet again. She won Sports Illustrated's Fashionable Athletes of the Year. She was number 4. She won Nielsen's Most Marketable Athlete of the Year. She was number 1. International Sports Press Female of the Year yet again. Look, I can keep going on and on. That was only from 2014 to 2016. You realize her career started back in 1997. So look, it's look. I can go. It's kind of hard putting into context just how great Serena Williams is. But when we think of when we talk about top five athletes ever, you can really make a case that Serena Williams is in that top five athletes, not just female, but athletes of all time. Serena Williams is the epitome of intensity. She's the epitome of greatness. She's the epitome of winning. And Serena Williams has not only been a staple in the African American community, but she has been a staple in all. What Tiger Woods is to golf is what Serena Williams is to tennis right now, and not even just right now, of all time. Of course, people don't watch golf. People really didn't watch golf, and golf was at a decline until Tiger Woods came in. A lot of people didn't watch tennis like that until the Williams sisters came in, and once they realized, oh snap, this is something different, and Serena Williams really started taking off. Now, no, I'm not overshadowing anything Venus did, but at their peaks, Venus and Serena is not even really close. In fact, when we're talking about greatest tennis players of all time, Serena Williams in my eyes is number one. Greatest tennis players of all time, Serena Williams is number one, men or female. One of the greatest champions of all time, Serena Williams, is in my top five. You can't go too far without talking about Serena Williams. That's just how dominant she's been, and she is. And now she just came back from her pregnancy, being out for months, of course, and she was the runner-up in the U.S. Open. Like, look, when the world's done and it's all said and done, and we look at some of the greatest athletes of all time, you will not be able to go far without saying Serena Williams' name, and that alone makes her, to me, the greatest female athlete of all time. And what's even more remarkable about that is she's still going. Yes, she just came off of having her first child, and yes, she didn't win, of course, but like I said, Serena Williams, I can't really. It's not debatable. And she's 36, still dominating. Now that's of course young in regular terms, but in athletes and sports, that's getting up there. That's getting up there. So to recap, my top 10. Number 10 is Allison Felix. Number 9, Lisa Leslie. Number 8, Mia Hamm. Number 7, Billie Jean King. Number 6, you have Jenny Thompson. I'm sorry. Number 5, you have Venus Williams. Number 4, you have Jackie Joyner-Kersee. Number 3, you have Margaret Court. Number 2, you have Florence Griffin Jr., also known as FloJo. And number 1 and number 2 is like a country mile, if you ask me, which is Serena Williams. So there you have it. That's my top 10 female athletes of all time. Of course, you have we talked about some honorable mentions. If you do not agree with anybody in my list, if you think I left somebody out, leave it in the comments and we will definitely talk about it. I want to thank you again for listening to this episode of the Unpopular Podcast, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Much love.